The divorce papers arrived with a single sentence that shattered everything she believed about love. By lunchtime, the woman who had stood beside a billionaire for 15 years had lost her mansion, her savings, her reputation, and even the friends who once surrounded her. She walked out carrying nothing but a worn handbag, while the man who promised to love her forever smiled for the cameras as if she had never existed. She thought her life was over. She had no idea that one forgotten act of kindness from 10 years earlier was already racing back toward her. And it would change both of their lives forever. If you believe kindness always finds its way home, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our community that believes in forgiveness, compassion, and second chances. Marianne Fletcher had never imagined wealth could disappear so quickly. Years earlier she had married Gregory Fletcher, a charismatic businessman whose technology empire seemed unstoppable. While magazines praised him as a visionary, Marianne quietly devoted herself to charities, hospitals, shelters, and community projects. She never cared much about expensive jewelry or glamorous parties, although she attended them with a graceful smile because that was expected of the billionaire's wife. Whenever cameras appeared, Gregory stepped into the spotlight while Marianne stood just behind him, convinced that loyalty mattered more than recognition. As Gregory's fortune multiplied, something inside him slowly changed. Success turned into arrogance. Gratitude became entitlement. He stopped seeing people as human beings and began treating them like assets that either increased or decreased his value. Marianne noticed it first in the way he spoke to waiters, then to employees, and eventually to her. Every conversation became a calculation. Every act of generosity was dismissed as weakness. Still, she believed marriages survived difficult seasons if one person refused to stop loving. She was wrong. Gregory had quietly transferred nearly every valuable asset into complicated corporate structures long before filing for divorce. Lawyers informed Marianne that legally she would receive almost nothing because of agreements she had signed years earlier without imagining they could ever be used against her. Her charitable foundation was dissolved. Her bank accounts were frozen while disputes continued. Her luxury home belonged to one of Gregory's companies. Even the elegant car she had driven was reclaimed before sunset. By the end of the afternoon, Marianne rented a tiny apartment above an aging bakery on a peaceful street where the scent of fresh bread drifted through open windows every morning. She sold the last designer handbag she owned to pay the first month's rent. For the first time since college, she searched for work. Employers recognized her face from magazines but hesitated to hire someone associated with such public scandal. Some feared media attention. Others assumed she had hidden wealth somewhere. Weeks became months. Savings disappeared. Pride faded into quiet determination. Every morning Marianne volunteered at the same neighborhood food pantry where people never asked about her past. She organized donations, packed groceries, and comforted elderly visitors who simply needed someone to listen. Helping others reminded her she still possessed something no court could confiscate. One bright autumn afternoon, while arranging canned goods onto shelves, she noticed a familiar photograph hanging on the community bulletin board. It showed the pantry celebrating its 10th anniversary. In the corner stood a young exhausted father holding a little girl while accepting groceries. Marianne stared at the image, remembering that day with surprising clarity. 10 years earlier she had secretly visited the pantry without reporters or photographers. There she met a struggling single father named Owen Mercer. His construction company had collapsed after a workplace injury left him unable to work for months. Bills had buried him. His wife had passed away from an illness shortly after their daughter Ivy turned 3. Owen looked physically present but emotionally broken. Marianne remembered watching him quietly place groceries back onto the shelf because he believed another family probably needed them more. That moment touched her deeply. Without revealing her identity, she arranged for his overdue rent to be paid anonymously, enrolled little Ivy in a preschool scholarship through one of her charities, and helped Owen receive specialized rehabilitation that allowed him to return to work. Before leaving, she simply smiled and encouraged him never to let shame convince him he wasn't worthy of another chance. She never expected to see him again. Life moved forward, and that memory slowly disappeared beneath years of public events and endless responsibilities. Standing before the old photograph now, Marianne smiled sadly. She hoped Owen and little Ivy had found happiness. Later that same afternoon, a sleek black SUV stopped outside the bakery. Several people stepped out wearing business attire. Marianne assumed they had mistaken the address. She continued carrying grocery boxes until one tall man approached with hesitant eyes that seemed filled with gratitude he had carried for years. His face looked older, stronger, and more confident, but there was no mistaking the kindness in his expression. It was Owen. For a long moment neither spoke. Tears gathered in Marianne's eyes before she even understood why. Owen smiled with quiet warmth, the kind born from surviving unimaginable hardship. He explained that after recovering from his injury, he started a small renovation business with borrowed tools and endless determination. One satisfied customer led to another. Years of honest work transformed the company into one of the nation's fastest-growing sustainable construction firms. Investors eventually partnered with him, allowing the business to expand internationally. Newspapers now described him as one of the country's newest self-made billionaires. Marianne was genuinely happy for him. She congratulated him and apologized that she couldn't offer him coffee because she barely had enough money herself. Owen gently laughed, not at her circumstances but at the strange reversal life had created. He admitted he had searched for the anonymous woman who helped him for years. He only recently discovered her identity after recognizing her signature on old scholarship documents preserved by the charity. Before he could thank her, headlines announced her divorce and financial collapse. He immediately came looking. Marianne insisted she expected nothing in return because kindness should never be treated like an investment. Owen nodded. That was exactly why he had never forgotten her. Instead of offering charity, Owen offered dignity. He invited Marianne to become executive director of a new foundation his company planned to establish. The foundation would focus on helping widowed parents, struggling single mothers and fathers, injured workers, and children needing educational support. He explained that success had taught him how to build buildings, but Marianne understood how to rebuild people. The salary was generous, the purpose was priceless. Marianne accepted with trembling gratitude. Over the following months, the foundation transformed thousands of lives. Families facing eviction received temporary housing. Parents learned new job skills. Children earned scholarships. Communities damaged by disasters received rapid assistance. Marianne poured every painful lesson from her own experience into creating programs that preserved dignity rather than dependency. Employees admired her because she remembered every volunteer's name, visited projects personally, and listened far more than she spoke. Meanwhile, Gregory's empire began quietly collapsing. His newest ventures relied on risky financial strategies hidden beneath impressive public announcements. Former executives who respected Marianne had already resigned after witnessing Gregory's growing dishonesty. Investors eventually uncovered accounting irregularities. Lawsuits multiplied. Stock prices crashed. Reporters who once celebrated Gregory now questioned every decision. Friends who filled his luxurious parties disappeared almost overnight. Money that had seemed limitless evaporated with breathtaking speed. One bright spring afternoon, Marianne attended the opening of a community education center funded by Owen's foundation. Hundreds of local families gathered for the celebration. Children laughed across the playground while volunteers planted flowers under the warm afternoon sun. As Marianne greeted guests, she noticed a familiar figure standing alone near the entrance. Gregory. His expensive suits had been replaced by ordinary clothes. The confidence that once bordered on arrogance had dissolved into visible exhaustion. Financial investigations had stripped away nearly everything he valued. He waited patiently until the ceremony concluded. Then he slowly approached. His eyes carried something Marianne had never seen before, regret. He admitted losing almost everything. He confessed that during the pursuit of endless wealth he had sacrificed loyalty, integrity, compassion, and ultimately himself. Watching Marianne dedicate her life to helping strangers while he obsessed over profit forced him to confront the emptiness of his own achievements. He did not ask Marianne to return. He did not ask for money. He simply asked whether someone who had made so many terrible choices deserved forgiveness. Marianne remained silent for several moments. Forgiveness had once sounded simple, living it required courage. She realized forgiving Gregory did not erase the pain he caused. It simply prevented that pain from controlling the rest of her life. She told him she forgave him, not because he had earned it, because she refused to let bitterness become her future. Gregory wept openly beneath the afternoon sun while nearby children continued laughing, unaware that an invisible burden had just lifted from someone's heart. Owen watched quietly from a distance that he understood that Marianne's greatest gift had never been money. It was mercy. Months later Gregory accepted a modest position mentoring young entrepreneurs about ethical leadership and financial responsibility. His speeches contained no glamorous promises. Instead, he warned others how easily success without character becomes failure disguised as victory. Marianne never returned to her former luxurious lifestyle, even though she easily could have afforded it. She chose a comfortable home near the bakery where her hardest season had begun. She still volunteered there every week because she never wanted to forget what humility had taught her. Little Ivy, now a confident young woman preparing for college, often joined Marianne at community events. She proudly introduced Marianne as the person who gave her father hope when hope was almost gone. Owen expanded the foundation into several countries, always insisting every new office display a simple framed sentence inside its entrance point. One act of kindness can echo across an entire lifetime. Visitors often pause to read those words before walking inside. Many never realized the sentence described the true story of the woman who quietly walked through those same halls every afternoon, greeting everyone with the same warmth, whether they were wealthy donors or frightened families seeking help for the first time. Marianne eventually understood something that no courtroom, bank account, or billionaire lifestyle had ever taught her. Wealth could vanish. Titles could disappear. Popularity could fade. But genuine compassion never loses its value because it continues growing inside the hearts it touches. The greatest investment she had ever made required no contract, no signature, and no expectation of repayment. It was a simple decision to help one struggling father on an ordinary afternoon 10 years earlier. That single choice traveled through time, transformed a little girl's future, restored a broken family, built a foundation that changed thousands of lives, humbled a fallen billionaire, and reminded countless people that kindness is never wasted. Before this story comes to its close, we'd love to hear from you. What do you believe is the greatest act of kindness someone has ever shown you, or what lesson about forgiveness touched your heart the most? Leave your meaningful comment below and let your words encourage someone who may be struggling today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. As the warm afternoon sunlight stretched across the community center, Marianne looked around at children laughing, parents smiling through grateful tears, volunteers embracing strangers like family, and Owen watching proudly beside his daughter. She realized the billionaire who abandoned her had unknowingly given her the greatest gift of all. By losing everything that could be counted, she had finally discovered everything that truly mattered. Her heart was no longer measured by what she owned but by the lives forever changed because, even in her own moments of comfort years earlier, she chose kindness over convenience. And in the beautiful mathematics of life, kindness had quietly returned not merely to rescue her, but to prove that hope always remembers the people who create it.